Protectionism for developing industrial economy, particularly in developing countries. It is being argued that tariff barriers or tax differentials should be leveraged for giving the scope of infant local industrial productive activities to benefit from economies of scale. Yes, that is needed, but is it a solution to develop a sustaining industrial economy? Let's look into detail. Just right after the independence, India pursued protectionism to shelter their local farms, to prevent them from competition. One of the notable examples is in the automobile industry. One of the cases, they took license from a British firm and they offered state sponsorship to start producing the automobile to meet the Indian market because there is a high degree of protection given. And yes, there was initial success. What happened to that success? Eventually, that firm kept producing the same product with little or no improvement. So cost was not falling. Rather, cost was increasing because of the deteriorating capital machinery and also rising wages. Second thing is that quality was not improving. But due to the production, the car was diffusing in the society, but at very slow pace. Because as quality doesn't improve, cost doesn't fall. So pulling effect of the market doesn't get stronger and stronger. Rather, it is about the push of protection. So eventually, that company became bankrupt and sold out as a scrap. But production helped America to support their early stage industrial growth, which became eventually a globally competitive industrial economy. Production was also pursued by Japan, by South Korea. But is there anything else in addition to the protection? What made America successful? What made Japan successful? But what couldn't make India equally successful? Or what couldn't make Argentina or many other countries become successful? First thing, yes, protection is a help to penetrate in the industrial economy, often by importing capital machinery and start producing the import substitution. That will produce initial flow of the revenue from the products which are already being imported. But if the protection is to encourage the producer to keep producing the same thing and selling at higher price and expecting that that is going to create a sustainable industrial economy, that is the place we have the problem. America pursued the protectionism, China pursued the protectionism, Japan pursued the protectionism to penetrate. That's an entry point, but that was not a sustainable growth path. What they did, they created incentives, they created capacities to benefit from flow of ideas, so that those producers proceed to redesign their products, to redesign their process, so that successive better versions at lower cost start emerging. In order to do that, they very carefully integrated the strategy of technology absorption, technology advancement, technology fusion, even scientific discoveries, leading to a flow of ideas. And that is a place you look into Japan, particularly Japan's recent successes in LED light bulb, in lithium-ion battery, among many others. By keep producing the same lithium-ion battery, what Japanese learned in 1985 by assembling the inventions made in American and the British universities would have not created any success story for Japan or Japanese companies. What they did, that's the entry point. They focused on scientific research, on development activities, of refining it. It happens to be developing countries are failing to learn this important lesson. What should complement their protectionism? And eventually protectionism should be removed. And let the industry grow, let the industry keep creating increasing scale advantage, scope advantage out of the flow of scientific knowledge in producing the flow of ideas, which they go and integrate them into their products, in their process. That important element is missing in the industrial strategy, in the economic doctrine, in most of the developing countries. As a matter of fact, protectionism gives a short-term illusion about the scale advantage, but it often prevents the growth of the long-term capacity of opening sustained growth of scale advantage. Due to protectionism, often they condone the intellectual property rights. Due to protectionism, they do not invest in science and engineering research and development because they think their strategy is to import technologies and give protection to local producers to keep using the technology and adding labor and raw material to that and producing economic outputs. As a result, the market of ideas do not grow. Sorry, market of ideas doesn't grow. As a result, they fail to attain the capacity of making their product better and cheaper. By how? Not through incentives, not through protections, rather by integrating intellectual assets, ideas into their productive activities. So the genesis of weak industrial economy of developing countries is this protection-based strategy of giving a sure profit path for local farms. Unfortunately, the sure profit path eventually end up into loss making or inescapable loss trap. And that is the reason there is an increasing default loans in the industrial economy of these countries, because it doesn't open the increasing profit making capabilities. So even if those farms are extremely honest, extremely sincere, but still they start suffering the loss of their competitive advantage. Eventually they end up into loss, and often they become helpless and they become defaulters to the loans they take from banks. The basic lesson is that protectionism could be a beginning, but it must be complemented with the capacity of technology absorption, technology advancement, so that ideas are being produced and they're being integrated into their products and processes for reducing their cost, improving their quality, so that they can find a path of sustained growth. And that is the place developing countries are failing to upgrade their economic policies, their development policies, their industrial policies. They need to figure out how to integrate the science and technology into their economic growth prospect. It is not about just producing science and engineering graduates and giving protection to the industry. Then there is no connection between these two. They need to create the demand of ideas produced from the flow of knowledge created by the research and development in science and engineering. And they need to give the incentives to the producers to use those ideas and keep producing better thing at lower cost. And that's the place there seems to be a significant deficiency in development thinking, and which often make these countries trapped into some income growth or in the development stage.